Welcome back, Source Nation. Now here's your host, Kathy B.
And welcome back, Source Nation. Welcome back. You're listening live right here on the Ladies Lounge. We're now into our first hour of the Ladies Lounge, and I'm going to be speaking with a beautiful young lady. I'm going to be speaking with Dawnyelle Butler. Now, she is an author. She has a brand new book out entitled Good Girls Never Tell. Now, this particular book that she decided to write was really inspired about her own life and her experiences from a young girl to a woman. Now, this book also expresses the thoughts and feeling of a woman that has lost, loved, and regained power over her life. I am excited to have her here in the studio. I know that she's going to share some wonderful and amazing things. I do believe that Dawnyelle is here in the studio with me. Dawnyelle, hello and welcome to the Ladies Lounge. How are you?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me, Kathy B.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, I'm excited to have you here. But, Dawnyelle, you know, I didn't give your bio justice, and I tell you why. We've had the opportunity really to begin to share you with the ladies here in the lounge and definitely the Source Nation family. But if you will, could you take a moment, tell us a little bit about you, and we'll jump into the conversation from there.
Okay. Well, I started off in my career as a professional dancer. And from that, I started working in a lot of commercial print and modeling. So, you know, once you get into the entertainment field, the doors just open up for you. It's endless. And I needed to make, you know, extra money to get through college, so I started doing a lot of modeling. And then I started teaching runway modeling. So I found myself becoming a teacher. Fast forward to now, I am a special educator, and I run a production company called Welcome to the Dawn Productions. So during the day, I help kids who have special needs to reach their potential, and on the side, I still run my production company. So I'm very much involved in my community and the arts. The slogan for my company is visualizing dreams into reality. So the whole goal is to help professionals and non-professionals come together to give them all the tools they need to be successful in the entertainment business.
Wow, I love that. I love that. I love that, especially not only that, you were able to take what you've learned all these years in entertainment and be able to express that still with young, impressionable minds, and then, of course, adults that are wanting to get into the entertainment industry. You're able to do that. So I know that we're going to talk a little bit about that, but I know that you just finished writing your brand new book, Good Girls Never Tell. Talk to Source Nation and the ladies about that, because I love the fact that you stated that in the book you actually begin to talk about your experiences as a young girl to a woman, but yet the feelings that we as women often deal with is loved and lost and, of course, regaining our power after all of that has taken place. So talk to us about that.
Well, actually, in high school, I was on my own at a very young age. And now me and my mother have, like, a better relationship, but I was on my own. My father wasn't present in my life, yet I had positive male role models, but not having someone directly in the home, it's effective to you. So I made bad choices in relationships, and my English teacher, Mr. Roscoff, who actually put a dedication in the book to, he encouraged us all to write our feelings to get out how we felt, because even though dance was like a release for me, I couldn't always dance. So I had to find another tool, another way to, like, a coping skill. So I started writing in high school, and actually the first poem I wrote was very sarcastic because I didn't want to do it. I was like, I don't want to do this. And actually it was published in the school newspaper. So everyone cheered me on, and they said, Dawnyelle, you need to keep doing this. And I was a little stubborn at first, and I said, okay. So once I started getting into the dating scene, I had to write because I had no one to really talk to. I didn't have that strong male figure. You know, and I was on my own, still trying to get through high school, even before going to college. So I started writing then, and then when I got into college, I think it spilled over more so because, you know, I left from one environment without any closure into another environment that I had to have more responsibilities put on me. So I wound up going to the University of Arts in Philadelphia, where I studied jazz and theater, and that's where I think my career started to really take off. And I just kept writing, and when I started my production company, I always said that I wanted to eventually do my own, you know, screenplay. So what I did was, in the variety shows I would do, I would always test the waters and put in like a skit. And I said, let me see if the audience likes this, you know. And everyone would like the skits I would do. So I would take it from the actual poems that I wrote. And actually, the book that I wrote, I started writing it years ago. And I finally decided after I did my play in 2014, titled Good Girls Never Tell, I felt like, okay, now's the time to actually put myself out there. Actually put out what I went through. I've never went to an open mic and actually read my work, ever. Yet I've sung and I've danced and I've modeled and I've acted and performed in front of a lot of people, but I've never actually poured myself out like that and just raw, just here. This is what happened to me. So last weekend, on March 11th, I had my first book sign and release party, and it was very touching because so many people came out from my past that knew me from high school, and they saw the potential in me that I didn't see in myself as a writer. And so far what I'm getting back as feedback is that everyone likes it because it's an easy read. I'm not trying to use huge, big words. I just really wrote exactly what I was going through at that time and how I felt.
That is amazing. That is amazing. And I love the fact that what you said, and I find this to be so positive and so true, Dawnyelle, is being able to write, being able to express what's going on and being able to see how your emotions play out, not only in the forefront, but you can see it on paper and then transition to where it's making you stronger. I think that is so important. One of the things that I share here with the ladies in the lounge is the fact that journaling is my outlet. It is my outlet.
Yeah,
I find
great outlet.
Yes, I find myself to be very creative when I'm writing, so that is good to hear. Now, I want to talk to you in reference to your life. You said some things there that I want the ladies really to pay attention to, because to me, if I were to, for whatever reason, had to leave my home and be out on my own, I don't know if I would have made it to college, or I would have been as successful getting into my career. So I want to talk about that, because that path is a path that is pretty hard, but you were able to be very successful. You grew up alone. You said that you really didn't have a good relationship with your mother. Your father wasn't there, so you really didn't have him present, but yet you did have strong male role models to speak to should you needed that. So let's talk about that. Having that path to take and really didn't have anyone around and you became successful. Talk to us about that.
Well, it all relies on my faith. My grandmother, introduced me to the Bible. And of course, when we're young, we're forced to go to church and you got to do this and you got to follow along this routine. But my family was pretty open to, you decide what faith you want to believe in. I consider myself, for the most part, just a Christian woman. I don't judge people. I love all people. And I'm there and I'm very supportive of people and their choices. I have friends that are gay, openly gay, that are even married. And I even talked to my prayer partner and I said, what should I do? And she's like, even if you don't agree with it, if you go to the ceremony, and that's how I live my life. Like, even if I don't agree with something, I'm still going to support you because I know that, God doesn't want us to judge others. He wants us to love one another as we are. So that faith that I had and that strength is what guided me through everything else, because I had to forgive my father for not being there. I had to forgive my mother for not being there when I really needed her to be there, and I had to look in the mirror at myself. I couldn't continue to grow up and blame my parents for not being there for the bad choices I made. We have to take responsibility. So I took responsibility because I wanted to achieve something. I wanted to serve my purpose because I knew, I was born for a reason, and we are all here for a purpose, and I felt like that was my purpose, and I had to succeed in that. So I had to put what I was going to do aside and know it's not an easy task, but I know the arts, I know dancing, and staying within the community and the people who reached out to me and saw the potential I had helped. It takes a village to raise a child. so many people helped raise me. Even though I went into the house and I was alone, there were so many people there to make sure I had what I needed. So I was very fortunate because everyone doesn't have that. And so that's why now I try to continue to still be that for everyone else. And it's difficult at times because you don't want to go back to where you came from, but it's also inspiring to actually look back and see where you've come from and how many people you've helped, even if you had to share your story and your testimony. So I would say my faith and God and prayer, again, that meditation every day. You know, I've been praying with my prayer partner since, I'd say, 2006, because I went through a really difficult time in 2006, and my grandmother introduced me to her. Her name is Lola Stinson. She lives all the way in Albany, New York, and to this day, we talk every single morning. I pray with this woman. I pray with her, and we've only met once. She came down to Baltimore to attend one of my plays. But yes, like she's my base. She's my base. She gets me through.
And I love that. I love the fact that you are very transparent in reference to speaking of faith, because I think that that's what we all should be tuned into, having faith, whether it is God or whether it's Jehovah or however you see it.
Right, yeah.
Have faith and know that God has placed purpose within you. And that's something that we talk about here in the lounge also. My two favorite things, which is passion and purpose, and being able to embark on both and bringing them together. How powerful is that when you can do that? And being able to speak truth and being comfortable. I love that you said that. So I want to talk about that. Let's stay there if we can, because in your bio it says that the book really expresses the thoughts and feelings of a woman that experienced love and loss as she regained her power. Let's talk about those areas, because I think it's very important. I know with the ladies here in the lounge, some of us go through a lot of things on a day-to-day basis, and there are times where we feel as though we're unbalanced when we should be. What are your thoughts about that, and why was that so important to touch on those areas in the book?
Well, I thought that, you know, with my writing, I wanted to show and share with other women that we are all these women, even if we don't want to admit it. You know, even the woman who goes to church now, you know, and everything seems so perfect. You know, the title of my book, Good Girls Never Tell, is because a lot of times we see women, I mean, hair done, nails done, face beat, dressed, nice job, nice car. You have no idea what it took for them to get to that point. Believe me, they didn't start off like that. You know, we're all born in this world, and we're all innocent until someone hurts us. And if we don't heal from that hurt, we wind up hurting other people as well. And it's just a continuation. So in this book, I wanted to show that I was the victim. You know, I was in an abusive relationship. I was the side chick. I didn't know I was the side chick. It's a lot of us out there, we're in a relationship with a man. He maybe had 2 other women, and you don't know you're really the side chick because he might be married. You know, I wasn't going to be afraid to admit that I was these women. I was the roundaway girl. I was the girl that was the tough Dawnyelle who grew up on her own, who had to be this tough chick, you know, don't mess with me, you know, roundaway girl. I'm that street side. I'm very book smart, very educated, but I'm also street smart. You have to be in this world to survive. You can't just have an education and not be able to be street smart as well. You got to learn both sides of the coin. Even if you grew up from a family that's very well off, you need to have some kind of friends that live around the way so they can really teach you and school you on real life, because you're not going to get all those experiences from dealing with those people who just have had everything given to them. And that's the difference between a lot of us. We have people who are given everything, so they don't know what it is to really struggle to work to pay the electric bill and to get those pair of shoes to go with that prom dress, because you got half the material, but you need to borrow money for this. And so, yeah, again, I wanted to show women, but not just women, also the men, because, I mean, I've had a lot of male readers buy this book as well, and it helps them to relate as to, you know, what we go through and how some of us become bitter, you know. But I knew that I didn't want to consider to be that bitter black woman that was hurt by so many people who actually just saw, like, my vulnerability, and they saw that light in me that I didn't see, and, okay, well, I'm going to get what I can get from her until something else better comes along. So yeah, definitely I could relate to that. And the wife, I've been married 2 years now. I got married in 2015.
Congratulations.
But I could thank you. But I could still relate to the wife because of my girlfriends who were married and the stories they shared with me. Yeah, definitely. So that's why I actually broke the book down in like categories as to, you know, where I was in those relationships with those particular individuals and what was actually taking place. And then you have the fantasy that's still in the very beginning. We all have that man that might have just been the friend that was like their fantasy of what you would hope that's what you would wind up with in the end result of everything else that you went through. And that was that reality for me. You know, sometimes the fantasy does not become the reality. And you have to actually connect with someone. You know, we all have baggage, but someone that has baggage that you can deal with, because we all have something.
Right.
We all come with something.
That's right. And I love that. I love that you said that, because one of the things that I often share here also on the platform is the fact that not only have I been married, but I've been married twice. I was married 23 years ago to my oldest son's father. We were in college, and we got married because we got pregnant.
Right.
And that marriage didn't last. But, 7 years later, I met a wonderful gentleman and just knew that he was going to be my life mate until God called us home. And unfortunately, that didn't work out. So with that being said, it was a marriage that I truly wanted. And it was devastating when the marriage ended, but how the marriage ended, which was in infidelity. And when I tell you, Dawnyelle, that was the most, I can't even put a word on it, but I tell you, I went through a tough time, because I was not only, I was going through a failed marriage, but I was working with Fox at the time, and my contract didn't get renewed. So all of that was taking place.
So you had to start all over, and it's harder when you're older.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I want to share with these women, too. It's harder when you're older, because when you're young and in your 20s and, someone hurt you, okay, where are we going? You want to get your outfit together, go out and meet someone else and just have fun. It's harder when you're older, and then you have kids and you started businesses.
Right.
It's harder.
That's right. It is very hard. It's very hard. And I tell you, it took a toll on my life where I literally gave up. I did. And I sunk into depression. And you mentioned something that when you said it just brought chills all over me. When you said that when you're hurting, you can hurt other people if you don't recognize.
Yeah.
And I have 2 sons. And when I tell you, when I was going through it, they were going through it. And I didn't know it. It was because they were reacting from my reaction. And
I touched on that as well. Yeah. When I talk about the player, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but when I talk about the player, I was like, okay, I'm going to act like a dude. They're not going to hurt me anymore. I mean, so like I said, again, it was another person inside of me that came out and said, okay, I can't be tough. I'm going to play the game with you. I'm going to have 4 of y'all instead of just one on call like you do us. It was like it was tit for tat. And it wasn't right, and I'm quite sure I hurt a few gentlemen along the way. But that's just how I felt at that time. I became numb. I went through depression as well. I felt like, somebody owed me something, and nobody owed me anything. I owed it to myself. I owed it to myself.
And that's what I'm talking about. The fact that you recognize those different things that really weren't normal for you. You were going through different situations in your life. And to me, I look at it as this is a journey that God has assigned for us. Everybody has a journey. Everybody has a path. It's how you deal with it. How are you going to deal with what was destined for you? Are you going to champion over it, or are you going to let it get the best of you? And that's the way that I look at life. And just listening to you, you had a journey that you had to go through, so therefore now you could be able to tell the story and be able to help others that might be going down that same path. So with that being said, I want to talk about that, your journey. Did you ever at any time take a moment to say, okay, I'm embracing all of this because this was meant for me to go through? What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, I realized, because it kept happening, and I said, I know God loves me too much to have me just keep going through this. There has to be a reason. Because I realized he knew, Dawnyelle's going to talk about it. It's going to be her testimony, and I always refer back to myself when I talk to people, and I say, please don't take it as a vain statement. It's just I can only preach to you through what I've gone through to tell you, look, I might not know exactly where you are, but I've been close to it, and don't give up. Don't give up. I never saw myself getting married. My husband has been very supportive in this whole process. I did a photo shoot that's actually their pictures in the poetry book because I wanted to give everyone a visual. Of course, I love fashion. I'm not going to lie. But I wanted to give them a visual. And I actually chose male friends of mine who I never dated but looked similar to actually the guys at the time I dated that it went through. So when my close girlfriends read the book, they're like, okay, wow, this is kind of creepy because these guys look similar to the dudes. And I said, well, it's important because, again, as a special educator, you learn that everyone learns differently. Some people are visual, some people are auditory learners. And I wanted to, I wanted to give that option to someone. So if they really could understand my words, they could look at the picture and whatever they were feeling, that they're not alone. And that's why I put this book out there, to let every other woman know, don't be afraid. If you feel like you can't go to a therapist, find someone you can talk to. If it's a prayer partner, if it's a girlfriend, someone, that can help you heal and get through to the next phase. So yeah, definitely. It's been a constant, reminder, and I think that's why my husband was like, okay, you need to finish this book because this is your path now. I'm not those dudes that hurt you, because that independent Dawnyelle, when I first got into a relationship with my husband, it was really hard for me to let her go. I mean, I'm still dealing with her. He calls her the single chick that's still inside of me that wants to open the car door. And most women are probably listening like, he opens the car door. Yeah. And I had to get used to that. I had to get used to he's going to take out the trash. You have to get used, you have to get used to someone treating you good. When you've been treating bad for so long, it's like, it's a transition. You're like, is this really happening? Is he really this good?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's a yeah, I'm just being honest and real like you want. It's the truth. You have to get used to someone treating you good, loving you when you're used to just the half routine of not having all of it. It's like a shock to your system.
It really is, and I want to stay right there for a second because this brings me to the next transition of the conversation. I actually belong to a singles group, Dawnyelle, and in this singles group, we actually had this conversation about, we've been in relationships that weren't good, and we have a great guy that comes along, treats us well, but we second guess is behind that.
Everything. we second guess everything, and the guy's like, well, wait a minute, what's the problem? What is the problem? I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and she's like, expecting, like waiting. My husband would say, waiting for the shoe to drop. You're just waiting for the other shoe to drop off.
Yeah. And you know what? And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this to ladies in the lounge and to Dawnyelle. I am the same exact way. I'm like, okay, you know what, brother? You too good to be true.
Right.
I'm watching you because I know you're going to slip up. And see, and the thing about it is when you put something like that in the universe, and this is how I believe it, when you put something like that in the universe, it's because you're waiting on that to happen. And I think also, too, when you put stuff like that in the universe,
you do. Your words are, and I tell this a lot to my cast members that work with me on my plays. I said, your words are very powerful. I said, what you speak, it's going to come to fruition eventually. It might take a while, but it's going to come. So if you keep telling yourself that you're not deserving of being loved, you're never going to have it. And sometimes we tell ourselves that by continuing to choose the same type of people to be around us, and that's what I did. You know, I talked about it in the book. I kept choosing this, I'm like, the same person. Even though they looked different in different body, it was like the same type of guy. I kept choosing the same type of guy. And I had to break out of that cycle because the way me and my husband started off, we were just friends. I was not looking for a relationship at all. I just wanted to hang out and listen to him DJ. That was it. He'll tell you, I was not looking for a relationship at all. No, I wasn't.
And look at God. He's working on your behalf.
Look at God. That's it. He surprised me because I still wake up and go, wow, married? Have a husband? Really?
Oh, that's right. I love that. I love that. Well, the ladies in the lounge, we are speaking with the beautiful and talented Miss Dawnyelle Butler. She's given us some great information on her brand new book, Good Girls Never Tell. So, Dawnyelle, let's talk about, because you mentioned earlier that you come from the entertainment side of the industry. And, you know, just reading your bio speaks of a lot of different things that you've been able to do in your young age. It talks about you being a dancer and a background singer for Kathy Sledge, and then, of course, you know, you were able to do your modeling, and now that you have your production company. So let's talk about that, because to me, as I said before, you were able to not only continue to work in the arts, but you understood your passion, you understand your purpose, and you were able to bring both of them together to be very successful. Talk to the ladies in the lounge, if you will, about that.
Well, let's go back a little. Again, you know, growing up in Baltimore, Maryland, where I'm from, there was a lot of opportunities for me in the arts, and that was pretty much what saved me from the streets, you know, being out on my own at a very young age. So it was always instilled in me that I wanted to become a dancer. I told my mother this at like age 3. We went to go see like the Nutcracker or something, and I just said, Mommy, I want to dance. I auditioned for School for the Arts, but at the time, you know, they had made their quota. They had already had the amount of black African-American students that they were going to accept. So one of the teachers, her name is Stephanie Powell, she actually still teaches to this day, beautiful dancer, beautiful person. She told my mom, you know, bring Dawnyelle to B.B. Blake Center, where I will work with her and prepare her for, like, the next step. So I went to high school, started running track, and they were like, either you're going to run track or be a dancer because you build up different muscles. And then finally I just said, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to just go for it. So I auditioned at the University of Arts in Philadelphia for dance. I studied dance there for 4 years. I studied ballet, modern jazz, everything. We actually learned how to put together our own productions. That was part of the graduating process. You had to put on your own show, like, each semester that you were there. So I kind of fell in love with the whole background area of the stage and lighting, you know, and bringing my own ideas and visions to light. So while I was doing that, I met my good friend Jose Rodriguez. And Jose, in his own right, very talented professional dancer. He had been on tour with, like, Gloria Estefan and Madonna, Prince, the name goes on. And he was like, Dawnyelle, Kathy's looking for, you know, someone background singers/dancers. And when he first told me, in my mind, I kept saying Pointer Sisters. I don't know why. And then I was like, wait a minute, Kathy Sledge, you know, because Kathy's the youngest of the group.
The youngest.
Yeah, and, like, she did a lot of the writing and everything, and I don't think people really know that to this day. So it didn't stick out at first. And then finally I'm like, wait a minute, Sister Sledge? You know, so I auditioned for Kathy, and my first gig was in Boston. And I remember we had maybe a day to rehearse. And we rehearsed in a room that was very tiny. And I was very nervous, of course, because I'm about to meet Kathy Sledge. And, you know, this is my first big professional gig, and a limousine picks us up. I'm going to the airport. And it was incredible. It was breathtaking, all of those things. And then I remember we did the RuPaul show. And it's actually the clip. You can actually go to YouTube and it's still on there now, and see it. And I showed this to my students the other day, and they were like, oh, my God, that's you. You were really skinny. That's the first thing kids say. You were really skinny, Miss Dawnyelle. I was like, yeah, I didn't have a kid at that time. But, I did a lot of MTV, VH1. I toured with her nationally, internationally, all over. Delma Houston, CeCe Peniston, the list goes on. Tavares, a lot of the older groups. Because when Cassie came back around, it was like the 70s Review tour. So she actually had her own CD that she had put out, and so we were working on that as well. So actually going to Philadelphia and to this college that I went to, I was connected to so many people in the business, and I was closer to New York. So I started to network more on my own because I really didn't have a lot of luck with managers. To this day, I pretty much manage myself. It's very hard to find really good management. I'm quite sure you would agree.
Yes, it is.
It is, yeah. So I started managing myself. I toured with Kathy for about 8 years on and off, and I started modeling more to pay the bills. Again, that wasn't something I set out to do, like I want to be a model. I'm only 5'7", so I had to work really hard, but I had a really good, strong runway walk. So a lot of designers would choose me because I appeared taller on stage. And because I had a dancer's background, I could pretty much do a lot of the things they wanted me to do theatrically on stage. So those things helped me. We didn't have Tyra Banks and, America's Next Top Model. We didn't have things like that. So it was more like who you knew, okay? You had to really get there on your own accord versus being connected to someone or having a big, massive audition for something like that type of show. So long story short, that's what I had to do. So I started getting called for a lot of modeling work. And from there, people started asking me to choreograph their shows. So it was like I would finish one thing and then another blessing would come and another, which is, it just kept repeating itself. Because again, I just had a very strong faith. I didn't give up. I took the jobs no one else wanted. Because for me, it wasn't always about the money. It was about the experience. And I love people. I love seeing people reach their creative potential. So fast forward to my 30th birthday party. When I moved back to Baltimore, I started a production company called Welcome to the Dawn Productions. It was my 30th birthday, and I had always dreamed of having this big party where I had all of the arts involved. And once I did it, my good friend, Ronald Malone, who's actually my stage manager to this day, he said, Dawnyelle, this is something that you have to continue. And I told him, I said, Ronnie, no, I don't. This is too much work. You have to deal with everyone's attitudes and moods and issues and problems. And I was like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. He's like, no, you have to keep doing this. He's like, I'll be your stage manager, even if you don't have the money to pay me, because I didn't have the money to pay him like the first like 2 shows probably, but it actually built up. And so I kept doing it, and then my students wanted to be involved in it. And every year, like I said before, professional people who were actually established in the business would come down from Atlanta, New York, Virginia to be a part of this production, and I would audition people locally in the area who actually wanted to learn about the business, give them a chance to have exposure. That young lady that sings in the church choir, or that young man who plays the guitar, he had a platform to actually showcase his talent. And he could actually, be around other professionals and learn, ask questions, network. It's really important, and I'll tell anyone this, you have to get out of the house and network with people. You have to attend different functions. You don't have to drink. You don't have to stay there late and party, but you need to go out and show your face. You do. And just, hi,
you do.
That's our business card. You do. That's how you're going to meet people and network to get to the next level. It's not going to happen just on a computer sitting in the house. So this is what I teach everyone that comes to me. I teach them how to write a resume, how to get a headshot done. You don't have to spend as much money as you think. A lot of people say, you got to spend all this money to get this. No, you don't. If you know what you're looking for, you can go to the right people and get it done like half the price.
That's right.
So that's how Welcome to Dawn Productions was born. So actually, this fall will be my 14th show, my 14th anniversary show, and I'm actually doing Good Girls Never Tell part 2, Life After Pain. So it's actually part 2 of the first play I wrote.
Mm-hmm.
So that's moving forward. That'll be the next project that I'm going to be working on.
Wow. I love that. You know, you said a lot of great things in this part of the segment. I love the fact that you realize what you had to share, you definitely could share with others and give opportunity. That's one of the things that I feel so strongly about, and especially that's the reason why Source Radio Network exists. It was birthed through giving back opportunity, because opportunity was given to me 23 years ago in this industry. And I love that. I feel when we do things like that, God truly blesses us more so than what he does anyway. You know,
yes,
I find that to be I find that to be very, very rewarding. I love that. I love that you do that, Dawnyelle. So now that
thank you.
The next play, you're welcome. Now that the next play is in motion, what's next? Have you thought about television, sitcoms, things of that nature?
Well, I have thought about a web series. I have a couple of friends who actually have web series. Yeah, you know, I think that would be a start. You know, because I definitely need to put everything on film before I would shop it around. My cast members even said we should do a movie. You know, and I'm like, we'll get there. You know, I still want to enjoy my book right now, and I want to enjoy the next process. I have learned, you know, not to have too many things on my plate at once. Because I want to see everything build and come to fruition. So I don't want to have everything all over the place. I'd rather just build as it comes. But I'm definitely not, you know, putting that aside and saying that's not something I want to do just right now. I know I want to focus on, you know, expressing to the audience, you know, the lives of the women that are portrayed in this play and what happens to them after, you know, because they were left kind of in limbo. They don't know what happened to them. So, you know, I definitely want to bring it back so I can show them how they all grew. Within the play, the first one, they actually show and express how they overcame all the hurt and pain that they went through. One of the women in the play, actually, she records a song. That's how she deals with her healing. Another woman goes to church. Another woman goes to see a therapist. So I'm actually also demonstrating how we all need to find our own source of healing so we don't continue the cycle of hurting one another.
Great. I love that. And thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Dawnyelle. You know, as we are wrapping up, we love to end the segment either with some encouraging word or possibly maybe some tips and advice that we haven't shared in the conversation. If you're wanting to do that, we would love to extend that offer to you at this time.
Oh, sure. So I want everyone to know that my book is on Amazon Kindle, the electronic version. If you just type in my name, Dawnyelle Butler, that's DAWNYELLE, last name Butler, BUTLER, or if you type in the title, Good Girls Never Tell, A Poetic Interpretation by Dawnyelle Butler, it will come up. It prices for $7.99 on Kindle. If you would like an autographed paperback version of the book that I will definitely autograph for you with your name, you can click on the link. It's www.paypal.me/the Dawn is spelled capital T, lowercase h-e, capital D-A-W-N. And the paperback sell for $21, and the shipping is free. You can also follow me on Instagram at Resilient Dawn. On Facebook, I am Dawnyelle Butler. And my email is welcome to the Dawn Prod, that's PROD, @gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, Dawnyelle, it has been indeed a pleasure speaking with you here in the Ladies Lounge. I know that you're going to be doing some wonderful and amazing things, and definitely once you have the second part of the play up and running and you have some time to come back and talk to us a little bit more how the characters have evolved in this part of the play and the book, please know that you're always welcome here in the lounge. Again, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much, Kathy B. It's been really, really, really a great experience for me to talk to you. It's just like talking to a sister.
Well,
it really is.
I love that.
We're just hanging out, feet propped up, watching a movie or something, So I really love your energy style. It's really laid back. I had to go, wait a minute, I'm having an interview.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. The ladies here in the lounge definitely appreciate you coming in and giving us some great information.
I'm loving to hear. I'm going to love hearing from all of you and the reviews. I thank you in advance for all the support for this project. And I just hope that, again, I hope the book touches anyone out there, male or female, that's going through something, just to know that they're not alone. They can overcome it, because I did, and I'm living proof of it.
Awesome. Well, Dawnyelle, again, thank you so much for being here in the lounge. We definitely look forward to hearing more great things about you, and please know you always have a home right here at Source Radio Network. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Kathy B. Take care.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, ladies, you have just heard the beautiful and talented Miss Dawnyelle Butler. She had some wonderful and amazing things to say. What I love most about Dawnyelle is the fact that, she's very transparent. She talked about her life. She said that, she really didn't have a great relationship with her mother, and of course her father wasn't there. But the fact is that this young lady did not let that stop her. She was able to go on and do some wonderful and amazing things. She went on to college, University of Arts, was able to take up dance and modeling, traveled around the world, met some wonderful and exciting people, and now she's able to give back. I love that. I love the fact that she understands her passion and her purpose, and she has brought all of those things together to have a wonderful and great, successful life. So kudos to Dawnyelle. I know she's going to do very well. I'm excited to hear about the next installment of the play. I know that the ladies within the play have evolved, so just looking forward just to see how everything turns out for them. Again, that was Miss Dawnyelle Butler. All of her information and more can be found on Kathy B, Source Radio Network, as well as our main station page, Source Radio Network.